This Warriors team will not win the chip.
I said to you the year they won, I said everything worked out perfect. Every series that year, they were down in the series, and one of those teams were missing their star player. And I said to you, if they can win the championship this year, getting through a gauntlet, shooting jumpers, I would get on my knees this show and say I was wrong. And let me tell you something, I'm going to say the same thing this year. I don't think you can win the championship just out shooting people.
Stephen A., what do you think? You agree with Charles Barkley?
Not necessarily. The Warriors, as far as I'm concerned, they came within a Draymond Green suspension of winning back-to-back titles. And certainly adding Kevin Durant, who's one of the prolific scorers this game has ever seen, and a top 3 player on the planet as far as I'm concerned, I think it's very possible that they could pull it off. That doesn't mean that they will. It remains to be seen. There's a season to play, no doubt, but they're the prohibitive favorites for a reason. And I think that the way the game is played now, I think Charles Barkley would be absolutely right. If this were back in the day, you'd see guys getting smacked on their arms, smacked on their shoulders, kneed in the groin, tripped up, all types of insidious stuff happening to them. You can't get away with that in today's game. It's a pretty boys game, to be quite honest with you. LeBron James is rough and tumble. He could play in any era. But the reality is that it's a game that caters to more finesse rather than physicality. And because of that reality, I'm just of the mindset that Charles Barkley is wrong in this estimation. If the Golden State Warriors don't win the championship, I don't think it's going to be because they're primarily a jump shooting perimeter team. I think they could win a championship playing like that. And I think in order for somebody to beat them, they're going to have to stop that. It's not going to be, because the Golden State Warriors prefer to shoot jump shots rather than get to the hole, that they're not going to win. That's not going to be the reason why they're not going to win, because they're certainly going to make enough shots to try and pull it off.
The great Charles Barkley, who is the greatest TV star there is, I think, including everybody, is wrong about this. And I think the reason
I disagree with that, though. I think I'm bigger.
I think he's got you.
Go ahead.
I think he's got you beat. I think the round mound to rebound got you, Stephen A.
I know.
It's not a bad matchup, though. But I think he's wrong, Stephen A., because he has a horse in this race. He has skin in the game here because he's anti-analytics. I mean, that's really, I think, what it comes down to. He comes from an era where you couldn't win the whole thing as a jump shooting team. But then what happened was there was a rules change. And I was among the very many who thought, it's not that big a rules change, really, that it's going to fundamentally change the kind of team that can win a championship. But it did. It did. The hand checking, the whole thing, the zone defense, everything changed in such a way that allowed for a much easier time if you were a three-point shooting team. And analytics that actually studied this and did the math that you hate so much when I do, Stephen A., backed it up. And to give Mike D'Antoni credit, he was the first, I think, to truly understand how you can really more efficiently exploit the rules changes, and then Popovich and others took that to the next level. Look, the Cavs are a three-point shooting team. When the playoffs started, they were shooting the lights out from everyone, against everyone. Now, Barkley can sit there and say, yeah, but you also have to do X, Y, and Z. Well, of course. Of course, you also have to play defense. You also have to do all those other things. But the orthodoxy, the received wisdom, was always a primarily three-point shooting team. If that's really what you're basing your offense around, you're not going to win the championship. And then not only did the Warriors win the championship, and the Spurs is a largely three-point shooting team. Well, but they had guys who could post two, yeah, but the majority of their offense was shooting that three. They won. And as a matter of fact, all the top three-point shooting teams are the only teams you see in the playoffs. If you don't shoot the three, you surely will not make the playoffs. And I think that's why Barkley is digging in his heels on the Warriors right now, because if the Warriors were to win 2 out of 3, that validates a new NBA, a new kind of world that he doesn't want to be true. It's not unlike, I think, when Bill Parcells thought that Bill Walsh had something to prove with his system, even as Bill Walsh was winning Super Bowls, because the same thing back then. The league favored the pass because it was offense. It draws fans in, just like the NBA likes the three, because the offense gets people interested, and the old-timers going to have to adjust to that.
Well, Max, here's where I'm confused. Is that your way of saying you disagree with Charles Barkley?
Said it right off the top. Said it right off the top. He's wrong.
Okay. No problem. I just wanted to make sure.
I couldn't be any more clear. The great Charles Barkley is wrong about this. And then I told you why he was wrong.
Well, you told me why for quite a long time that I damn near forgot that you said he was wrong. Now I understand. I appreciate it.
The greatest irony in television is when Stephen A. complains about mic time. That is the greatest irony in television.
All right, you two, let's go.
You evidently don't listen to yourself, but go ahead. It's all right.
I love listening to myself, as a matter of fact. Not as much as you love listening to you, but I do love listening to myself.
That's true. I hear you. I hear you talking.
All right, we're done? We're good?
We're done.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, Barkley isn't the only one who seems down on the Warriors. Draymond Green's mother chimed in on Twitter saying, taking Dre out of plays is not going to get us wins. I said it and don't care what y'all think about it. No energy. It's flat. It's broke. So I'll leave you with that. His mama. Coming up, we have Coach K with us. We'll ask him about his thoughts on Durant and expectations for the Blue Devils this season. Stick around.
Grayson Allen on the drive again, and he throws it down. He keeps it up. That's the reverse is blocked by Jeter. But how about Chase Jeter protecting the rim? Bernard just can't miss.
He's going to be a big-time scorer here in Jersey.
Allen got to get a shot up.
He's going to try to get fouled.
He drives it. The whistle. He banks it in at the buzzer.
Are you serious?
Partially blocked. Duke ball. And Duke is going to win the game. What an amazing win by Duke.
College Scoops, it's almost here. Can't wait. We now welcome a very special guest. He's entering his 37th season of head coach of the Duke Blue Devils, where he's a 5-time NCAA champion. We welcome Mike Krzyzewski to the show. Coach, thank you so much for being with us.
No, it's an honor. I actually watched the show, and I have critiques of Stephen A.
Oh, please, feel free
He
to
never
share
wants
them
to
with
hear
us.
it. He never wants to hear it. He's not a coachable guy, which I'm sure the two of you have found that to be true.
We're coachable.
And you know what, Coach? While that may be true, I have to tell you, as a teammate, he is a team player. So go figure.
Well, you're trying to make points with him now because you know but he's got talent, so we'll put up with him.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Speaking of talent, Coach, I want to start with you here. We talked about the Warriors losing to the Spurs last night earlier in the show. Obviously, you've coached most of the Warriors stars during the Olympics. How do you think KD is going to fit in with Golden State when things get going?
Well, really well. I mean, KD can fit in great with anybody, but you know, for the Warriors, it's about adjustment, and you don't make adjustment in exhibition games. You make adjustments in real time, and the guy on the other bench, Pop, they're a well-oiled machine already. So that result does not surprise me. And it's October, and give them some time to get to know one another, and don't put number of losses like an over and under about how many losses and how many wins they're going to get. Let them develop into a team because KD is.
Stephen A., you hear what Coach just said? It sounds like it's 1-0 Kellerman from the first debate today.
Whatever. Another day. I got no time to beat up on you right now, Max. I got to get back to Coach K, because Coach K, as much as I love the NBA, I got to admit, y'all got me excited. I'm looking at this roster that you have here, and I read your quotes from the other day where you talked about how it's okay to anticipate, to expect, and to shoot for a championship. The ACC title, regular season tournament, all of that stuff is good, but you are after a national title. You sound so extremely confident, you know, with expectations for this bunch. I'm looking at this kid, Harry Giles, Tatum, and the boys. Talk to me about your team. It looks like you've got one special roster this year.
Well, we have a chance to be really a special group. We have to get healthy. Jason had a minor setback yesterday.
Yeah.
We don't think it'll take much time, but Harry's been away from the game for a year, and but we have other really good players, and Stephen, I'm going to be doing this for a while, but not that much longer. The only thing I want us to be able to do is win a national championship and to play the game the right way. And I don't want to be led down the wrong path if we are able to win other things where that's the accomplishment. I don't want that to be the accomplishment or the disappointment. I want us to be at our best in March and hopefully have a chance to play for the national championship in April. If we're not able to do that, we'll be really disappointed, but at least we set our sights on a goal that is achievable.
Coach, I just did 5.5 years in L.A. doing local radio with Marcellus Wiley and also Sports Nation, and that town is starving for a Lakers team that they can get behind, especially for a signature star on the Lakers. What kind of player do the Lakers have in Brandon Ingram?
They have a special player, and the one thing about him is he can't be positioned. Don't play him at a 3 or a 4 or a 2. And what they'll have to figure out, I think, is how he can have the ball in his hands, not just to be a catch-and-shoot guy or get it and now score, but to make plays. He's a basketball player, and a really good basketball player, and has a great feel for the game. He can impact the game in a number of different ways, and I think as he learns about the NBA and they learn about him, his growth potential is huge.
Coach, again, back to your team. Grayson Allen, that's a name that comes to mind.
Right.
This is a guy that's one of the best guards in college basketball, maybe the best 2-guard in the nation. And I remember he took some heat, for some, things pertaining to his behavior. I'm like, he's a young kid. He's going to make mistakes, but I love his fiery attitude. I love his go-get-it mentality. I had the pleasure of talking to J.J. Redick about him when he came to his defense. Talk to me about this kid, the maturation process that has taken place with this kid. He seems to be bright. He's obviously very, very talented. And what you're looking for from him this year, because I think he can be big time.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best players in the country and one of the most explosive scorers. He hates to lose, and as he matures as a basketball player, sometimes that hating to lose can manifest itself in some mistakes. He made a couple of those mistakes last year, but he made a lot of great plays and did a lot of good things too. Stephen A., he made a great comment about a month ago to our media. He said, I made mistakes last year. It would be the biggest mistake would be if I didn't learn from those mistakes. And so he's learned from them. He's gotten better, and he needs to put that in the past and concentrate on what we're doing as a team, and he's going to be as important a guy as we can have. I love the kid. He's going to graduate in 3 years. He's an academic All-American, and I'd take him on my team anytime.
But, Coach, the thing that I love about him most is that he reminds me of the guys who helped deliver national championships for you. When I think about him, I think about a Bobby Hurley. I think about a Christian Laettner. And we all know what they did for your program.
Yeah, well, in order to do something, you have to have confidence and I call it more of a competitive arrogance. In whatever arena you go in, you can't be dismayed with people cheering against you or whatever. In fact, you should want to play better in those situations. And he has that. Laettner had that at the highest level. Redick definitely. Battier had it, except Battier was more socially acceptable in some ways. He hit it better. But I like a competitive arrogance. Look, the best player in the world has it, and LeBron James. Steph has it in his own way, and you don't achieve high-level accomplishment without having that type of attitude.
Coach, Nigel Hayes had the sign saying a broke college athlete, anything helps the Wisconsin player. What are your thoughts about that and that issue?
Well, at some time it'd be interesting for all of you to find out what a college athlete gets right now. Compared to a few years ago, it's unbelievable. The cost of attendance, you can help pay their insurance, you can give them clothing, you can do a whole bunch of things. The cost of really doing something with an athlete, like at Duke, all the stuff that we end up doing for them is well over $100,000 a year per player, and much more than the scholarship. Now, can we do more? I think you can do more, and I think a huge thing to investigate is if these guys can, if they're marketable. How do you handle that? I think people are going through that in the NCAA with some of our Olympic athletes in other sports, that they've become so marketable. and what what they're giving up as in order to play in college. And we should keep advancing. We should keep
Coach,
advancing and helping. But I'm sure Nigel's just he's being fed.
While we're on the subject of amateurism,
right.
Given what just is going on with Rick Pitino now, how concerned are you that, as if the buck stops here, if you have that mentality of not knowing something that might be going on in your program that isn't kosher?
Well, I don't think it's not just in our program. It's in your own family, in your business, or whatever. How can you know about everything? What you want to do as a leader, whether you're the leader of a family, a business, or whatever, is to try to create an environment where there are checks and balances by all the people on your team. And obviously, in Rick's case, there was a member of his team that, went out of the box, and he's acknowledged that. And but that's what you try to do, is you try to maintain a climate that's conducive to doing it the right way by all levels of people. Excuse me.